There we go. Hey, what's going on, folks? Just figuring out my new angles and new tech, but yo, what's going on? It's Kuya Kicks here, and we are doing a new unboxing stream. There's been a big backlog of action figures that have accumulated for some time now, and I am also back from vacation, so time to finally get back to reviews and stuff like that. So, without further ado, it is Sunday, March 16th, and you are kicking it with Kicks. This 2025, I'm hoping to up my stream frequency and finally hit my goal of 1,000 subs by the end of the year. So join me as I unbox new toys, revisit old favorites, play my favorite games, interview members of the collectibles and gaming industry, and more. So that's a couple things that I wanted to kind of get out of the way. Let me quickly share something here. Sorry. Tuning in, I'm getting some messages. One more. Let's hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. Got some messages blowing up on the side. I want to make sure that I take care of those before I get into the fun show that I have planned for you today. This out into the wild. All right, now we are good. I promise we are solid. A couple things. I am using the NTT Sonority NWM1 open ear headset, which is something that's that I reviewed before I went on vacation. So that's one new addition. The second new addition would be the boom mic that's hanging over me. Before I had a low profile mic that I'd swing over from the left and off to the side, which would obstruct my keyboard, but now I have a fully unobstructed work surface, which is a lot more convenient. And now the boom mic is hanging right in front of me from this perspective over here. Anchor camera is still the same, which is the one that's front facing right over now. And then I do have my top down view camera, which I will switch to. Bit more on Soundwave. It was actually a few months ago that I found what they call EP13, which is the Masterpiece Soundwave by Takara Tomy, along with MP15 and MP16, which are the smaller cassette bots, which are compatible with the Soundwave figure. So that is Rumble, Ravage, Frenzy, and Buzzsaw. Those are the mini cassette bots. And as an audiophile, someone who loves music and audio, Soundwave has always been one of my favorite Transformers. He has a cool bot mode, which is the cassette player. He has a cool alt mode, which is the cassette player, bot mode, which is just his G1 kind of blocky design. And of course, he sounds super cool with the that voice changer mix that they applied to his character. And earlier this year, I actually unboxed the Hasbro RED non-transforming action figure, which is kind of like a legend scale figure, and compared that against the G1 release. The G1 release is this one over here, the original G1. This isn't the original release. This is actually a reissue of that figure, which I picked up at Walmart a couple years ago. But the focus today is specifically on the Masterpiece line. So what I'm going to do is, the reason why I switched over and I got this boom mic is, one, I'm going to slide over this way, and I'm going to do, one, I'm bringing over the boom mic right now, and two, I'm spinning my camera to get myself in view here. So that already, to me, is a lot easier in regards to how I have my setup configured, just being able to swivel the front-facing camera and the hanging boom mic in front of me. And what I'm able to do is, I'm going to get this G1 Soundwave out of the way. I'm going to be using him for comparison later. So we'll go ahead and put him off to the side. But we'll take a look at this big box, which is here, the Masterpiece Soundwave, this massive box over here. John to the Ross, yo, what's going on? The MP Soundwave is great. I was lucky to snag the clear and gold Toys R Us version. Pretty sick. Um, I don't think I've seen that one, but feel free to drop that link in the chat and we will take a look at that too. And yeah, this one here now, it's for those that don't know. Obviously, John, you know what's going on over here. But for those that don't know, the Takara Tomy Masterpiece line took the original G1 figures, so that's like this guy over here, and has started to, or sorry, they pretty much took the G1 line concepts, improved the scale and engineering of most of the figures. I say most because not all the figures are the best. And since the Masterpiece official line by Takara Tomy came out, the Takara Tomy is listed right on top over here. See that? Top right corner. So since this line came out, I'm going to say sometime in at least the 2000s, if not the late 90s, there have been KOs of these. I'm not even sure if this is a KO, to be honest, because I got it so cheap that like it's kind of like, you know, is that person really that desperate, or is this just a really good KO? I guess we'll figure it out. And KO obviously stands for knockoff for people that if you don't know the lingo or the shorthand. And I have no problem with knockoffs. Sometimes knockoffs are actually, you know, they could sometimes make improvements depending on who's creating and reissuing them. So there's knockoffs, there's third party, and even fourth party. I don't even know what the specific line is between third and fourth party. I just know that those are pretty much non-licensed manufacturers that are taking these concepts and creating new Transformers. But the cool thing about the third and fourth party figures is that they can sometimes match or even exceed the quality. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, then I would highly suggest that you take a look at Fans Toys. That's probably one of the best brands that's creating masterpiece scale Transformers. So give those a look online if you haven't already seen them. And before I kind of get into it, I do want to ask people, because this is the first time that I'm trying the new setup. I did try it for gaming, but the first time I'm trying it with Streamlabs and with the new tech. So please let me know how the audio sounds, because this is pretty much at max, I believe, when it comes down to the mic that's hanging above me, and what's it called? Audio, the background audio. There should be some background audio. That's about at 25% right now. So let me know how the audio is sort of balancing out, and let me know if I need to raise or lower. But John is saying that it sounds good. Appreciate that, John. And John also says that he needs the Rat Bat and might get the KO. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, like this was at a store called Toy Rat, somewhere in Milton, and I picked this guy up for $100, which, you know, was a steal. And then I actually got these two set figure packs as well, which are the it says Rumble and Jaguar, but I'm going to call them Ravage and Frenzy. I know some people say the whole Rumble red, Frenzy blue kind of thing, and I know that this is the way the box says it, but in my mind, and because of G1 cartoons, Rumble has been blue. But then we also have Frenzy and Buzzsaw. And then John's referring to Rat Bat, which is the pink and black and purple, I think, bat figure. But in any case, I got all of these together for like $200, which is crazy. So that's why I'm thinking that, like, hey, these actually might be knockoffs, and I honestly don't know what the quality of these are because I purchased them a while ago and haven't had a chance to open it up. But for the price, hey, I can't complain. So we're gonna go ahead and you know, talk about those. The other thing that I wanted to, and the reason why I kind of brought this whole stream up, and we're talking about third party and fourth party, is that there is a company called Mastermind Creations, MMC, Ocular Max, and they created these remix figures over here, which are super dope. And this is what I mean by you know, third parties and fourth parties. You know, they take an upscale or re-engineer figures, like they did with Rumble and Frenzy here. And this was actually sold out for a while, but this was recently reissued. So I pre-ordered this, I think maybe last summer or the fall, and I thought that, well, hey, now that I have these larger figures and these are die cast and everything like that, I think I thought it was the perfect time to actually go and unbox the Soundwave and the other figures that come with the set. John is also saying, I think that Rat Bat was from the MP Sound Blaster, and I think so too. I think that was like MP14 maybe, right after this one, um, the black reissue. So that's definitely something to look at. And then a lot of the third party or fourth party Transformers, sometimes they came with all of the cassette pots, and that includes Rat Bat. And there's even one with like a drone that I don't remember what episode that drone is from. But if you do, you can drop that in the chat and let me know. So before I unbox this bad boy, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my gloves. Just a second. And I know my knife is here somewhere, and also it is quite hot. I'm gonna go ahead and take this shirt off and expose my very cool Zelda Bokoblin tee. I think I don't know if it's a Moblin or a Bokoblin, but it's a Zelda tee. Maybe lower the music down a little bit. No problem. That is very welcome feedback. I can't hear the feedback on my side. I guess I could always pull it up on on my phone or something like that. Let's go ahead and bring this down. I'm gonna bring it down to 20%. But if you think I need to go lower than 20%, please do let me know. But yeah, let's get into it. But otherwise, John, how have you been? What's new and exciting with you? Let me know what's up, what you're collecting, what you're playing these days. 20% sounds good. Sweet. All right, so let's get these. They're just black nitrile gloves that I picked up on Amazon. They're not necessary, but sometimes I get self-conscious of my hands, whether it is my Bigfoot arm hair or my nail beds or other types of weird things that people probably shouldn't care about, but these keep my hands nice and clean, and it also avoids getting any type of I guess reduces the chance of getting fingerprints and other nasty stuff on the actual figure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at MP13 Soundwave. All right, so I'm gonna go, and actually, sorry, before that, let's go through the usual stuff. Taking a look at the box, let's take a look at every side possible. I do like the packaging. I typically, compress these boxes and flatten them for storage because I like the packaging design, and I scrap the trays. And the reason why is because I don't really like the boxes. One, they take up so much space, and two, I don't know if I'm ever going to sell these figures. Typically, when I buy a figure, it's because it's a figure that I plan to have as a permanent fixture. And the other side of things is like, I don't even think. Well, personally to me, I wouldn't be mad at losing a few dollars by not having a fully complete box and all that other types of stuff if it gives me the peace of mind of having just the space back and all that other types of stuff. John is saying good and currently bagging my figures and accessories. That's definitely something that a lot of people should be doing, staying organized. I have, a whole bunch of bins where I take Ziploc bags, put figures and accessories in them together, and then what I do is toss those into like a Rubbermaid bin or like some type of thick bin, and those kind of go into storage. And then otherwise, I have a few glass cases in the kitchen kind of living area over there, where I put my figures out on display, which I may do like a room tour or something like that if people are interested in seeing that in the future. But the box, as we always go through, so right on the very top, you have the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye Masterpiece, and it has a nice little holographic kind of silver on the top over there. Then you have the Takara Tomy logo on the top there as well. You have this $99 sticker, which is from the shop that I picked it up at. I believe this retailed closer to at least $200 or so. So, you know, it's either I got a great deal and got it at half price, or I paid pretty much half price because it's a KO, which is the usual. But let's take a look at the figure, the Soundwave figure there. You can see how that's his bot mode, and he's pressing the eject button. And then on the side here, you can actually see Laserbeak coming out of the chest, or you actually see Laserbeak folded into the chest, and then the Laserbeak figure on its own. Now below, you see the cassette alt mode, and that is a lot more detailed than the original G1. And so what I'll do is actually I'm gonna transform this figure, and then we'll do the comparison, so you see the difference in the alt mode and the bot modes. Now he does have his Japanese name, Destron, which is on the bottom over here, Destron Communications rather, and Soundwave. You have a whole bunch of Japanese characters, which I cannot read. And then on the top, we have the Transformers Masterpiece logo, more Soundwave stuff, and then some more promo art on the side. Whoops, sorry about that. On the side, you have the Masterpiece in holographic or silver reflective. Same on this side here. And then on the back, you have more Soundwave details, a whole bunch of Japanese text. You can see how you could put Laserbeak on his arm. It also shows you how you can switch through different cassettes. I believe the chest cavity stores up to 3 cassettes. I think that's why it shows 3 there. And then we have Laserbeak, a few more pictures of Laserbeak transformed in alt mode, in bird mode, and then also perched up on Soundwave's shoulder. Then you do have a picture of the Energon cube that it's included. You have this little blaster piece that's included as well. And you have the gun, sonic cannon, or whatever that is. And then he actually also comes with a little Megatron, tiny little Megatron gun, some type of grid filling for the chest piece. And then finally the alt mode on the bottom there, the cassette player. John is saying that on my to-do list for some time, let me just pull up this comment here. Pulled out a few bins for sure, and also said getting the Toy Hacks Reaper labels decals for Soundwave. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't actually looked into those, so I imagine that makes him probably look more G1, closer to this guy. But yeah, we'll see how it looks stock. And we'll see what if I decide to do any modifications or getting any Toy Hacks Repro labels. And for those that don't know, Toy Hacks Repro labels is pretty much an independent company that creates sticker sheets to upgrade your Transformers figures. They make all kinds of stickers, and I think they do a really great job. I don't have any personally, but they are a very cool company for what they do. Going on no chewing. What's good? What's good is I finally got my third-party Rumble and Frenzy, so I decided to finally unbox all my Masterpiece Soundwave stuff to get everything out on the shelf. But what's good with you, man? How's it going? All right. So let's get all of the stuff out of the tray. Let Soundwave breathe. It's a big tray and a big box. So let's go ahead and let's just take a look at everything in the tray. First and foremost, you have that Walther gun Megatron over here. You have his blaster. We have that little adapter for his hand. The Energon cube slot, which is empty. The grid slot there. Laser beak. The cassette holder. And then, of course, the man of the hour, Soundwave in his tray. Looking pretty good so far. And then, of course, you have these Takara Tomy. You have some cards, and you have the masterpiece instructions, which we'll take a look at later. Let's go ahead and take this guy out. Yeah, I did a really brief inspection when I picked this up at the store, but did not look at it very closely. So again, hoping that everything is intact. And but again, whether it's official or not, I honestly don't care. It's more so like, is the figure intact? Are there any, is there anything broken? And what's the QC like? QC, for those that don't know, is quality control. This is actually a known issue that the guy told me when he sold this to me, that the leg snapped. But honestly, like, I don't mind. I could fix and figure out, how I how to make this work for Laserbeak. What I'm assuming is whether this was a KO or an official figure, if there is a very small kind of like pin joint that kind of goes around here, if this small figure took a tumble and this leg hit the floor or a table in the wrong way, I could see how this could have easily snapped. So I don't fault the previous user for that happening. That could happen to anybody. And then the Transformers case here. John thinks it is such a great figure. So far so good. I mean, I've been eyeing this for some time. I know that they've reissued this, they've KO'd this like so many different times, but first time for me. Let's go ahead and bring this guy off to the side. So again, the Soundwave figure, quickly measuring at, let's see here, approximately, I'm gonna say approximately 9 inches tall, which is pretty cool. This is his little gun, or a no-hand adapter. Move this off to the side. This is his blaster, and I believe we just pull this open. That, and then if there's another area I think I need to eject or slide open. This. And so that is how you transform. That's his blaster there. Off to the side. This is the Megatron cannon with the stock added and scope. This is like full on, fully upgraded. And then this is that grid piece that we looked at a little bit earlier. And the cassette case for Soundwave. So all we do, or Laserbeak rather, so we just take this set, and there's these 2 pins there. We could just toss in our Laserbeak. Would be line up there. Oh, never mind. Goes in upside down. Take this little bit and squeeze it in. Come on. There we go. And then he can store there, but then we can also toss him into the chest cavity of Soundwave. But we'll keep him away here for now. John is saying, is this a KO MP? Dude, I honestly have no idea. Like, for the price that I paid, which is $100, I'm pretty sure that it is, but whatever. Like, I didn't know, or he didn't confirm. It was a reseller, place called Toy Rat in in Milton. So it's more of a retro game store, and they have like old school consoles and action figures and stuff like that. I don't expect him to be able to vet every single thing that comes through, but for honestly the price, this was $100, and both of these cassette kits were $40 each. Where I know that this guy is usually like $200, and these guys are usually $100. So the fact that based on the price that I got, I'm gonna say that it's probably a KO. But I have a couple KOs and I have no issues with them. So I just don't know if this is one, to be honest, because KOs are so good nowadays that it's really hard to tell. But otherwise, I mean, the figure looks pretty solid to me. I haven't gone let's go through the figure right now to kind of see how this looks. But I was mentioning this earlier, I'm a huge audiophile. I love music in every way, shape, or form. And the fact that this guy was a cassette player in the 80s cartoon, which is really cool. And not only that, but the that voice changer effect that he had made Soundwave such a badass character. Obviously he's also the the right hand to Megatron. So very cool in that respect as well. So John saying, I'm curious as if a KO and has improvements over the original. That's certainly not uncommon. Third-party, fourth-party companies will sometimes add die-cast or improve on ratchets and other types of stuff that that might have not been the best on the original release. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really great question. Let's take a look at a couple things. Now that the figure and we went through the accessories, let's go through the figure a little bit more. On first glance, we're just taking a look at his head over here, up and down. You can go and turn 360 degrees. There is no light piping, so you won't be able to get light to make this shine. But I do believe there's probably an aftermarket add-on where you can open up, or either it's a remolded head with an LED. I've seen tons of Transformers that have this, and I wouldn't be surprised if Soundwave, or I'm fairly certain that Soundwave would have that. He does have this shoulder cannon, which looks like it is on a joint or some type of hinge over here. So that goes up and down. There's an eject button right in the chest, so I'm going to go ahead and press this, and that opens up this chest cavity. And then this is only for one right now, but I believe you could press it back. Yeah, and then that clicks, to get up to 3 cartridges stored there at the same time. And then I believe there's a back eject button somewhere. Maybe this. Try this. There's this little notch right over here, so I'm going to press that and see what happens. Yeah. So that will push the cassettes out. And just while we are doing this, I'm going to go ahead and pop this cassette back out. Because I know this leg is busted, I'm just going to keep this separate for in the meantime. And then I'm going to toss this cassette on the inside for now. Let's see if that stores, how it stores. But there you go. Cassette in chest, just like that, and then you hit this top eject button, and that will open that up. There you go. I'll toss more of the cassettes in once I unbox, once I'm done with this dude and start unboxing the others. But let's keep going through here. We got Joey in the chat. What's going on, Joey? Same hinge as Perceptor in the Studio Series movie line. I haven't unboxed that one yet, so we will see what that compares to. I have the G1 reissue, which I haven't unboxed, and I also have the Studio Series one. So that'll be probably a follow-up where I can compare both the Soundwave G1 and Masterpiece. And I don't believe that there's a Masterpiece Perceptor or Blaster. I think that I know there's definitely third parties, but I don't know if there is a Blaster yet, but correct me if I'm wrong. Let's go ahead and go and take a look at these shoulders. So these are not quite a butterfly shoulder, but there is this hinge which does allow for that shoulder motion on both sides. And then the arms go and swing around fully. You can get him into a T pose, like so. And then you also have a bicep swivel here. You have a double jointed elbow. And you have wrist swivel here. You get a bit of wrist articulation. Once you open up this area where it tucks away, you can kind of twist his arm in ever so slightly if you need to, and then just kind of close that just to kind of fake a little bit more range of motion if you need to. And then you have articulated fingers here. So you have the main pointing finger, which sticks out, and then these three fingers, which will bend in, so that, you know, if you want to extend either a pointing finger or the eject finger or a trigger finger, then you can kind of play around with a couple different configurations of the hand articulation. And the same goes for the other side, so I don't think I need to get into that too much. Let's just verify. Yep, that is the same. In regards to ab crunch, there is no ab crunch, so he does not bend forward whatsoever, but he does have a swivel. So we can go ahead and turn him like so. And then it looks like he has a fixed hip skirt, but I'm just gonna, there does seem to be these hinge kind of dudes over here, so I'm gonna try and flip this up. Looks like it releases, but it looks like the whole crotch kind of comes up in a way, maybe for transformation. But at the end of the day, this hip skirt isn't actually really obstructing the leg, so I should be able to bend up. Hold on, let's get this oriented properly. There we go. So bend up, and it's on a pretty decent ratchet. And then bend. Looks like you can't bend back, but what you could probably fake, what you could do is you could actually just turn this whole section around, make the back the front, and then turn the foot around, and then you can use that to get that range of motion and bring that to the back over there. Joey says, I haven't seen a Masterpiece for Perceptor at all. I honestly, I haven't seen that one either. I think the only ones I've seen, I have the Studio Series one, and you know, there's a couple different Chug versions for sure, but yeah, not sure. Now the buttons, I believe, yeah, they do press down. They are on like squishy springs or something like that. So we'll see how that works out later on. Then we have the hip swivel just right at the thigh, pretty much, or above the thigh. And then below the thigh, we have that swivel over here, which is more around, I guess, considered his knee. And then we can bring his foot back 90 degrees. And then we could take a look at his toes, and he bends quite a bit forward. There's no heel tilt. Well, I guess like this kind of shifts. Take a look at this a little closer. The back does shift down to give you slight heel or toe articulation up. And then you do have an ankle rocker. So this whole area over here just kind of comes and slides down. You could rock that. And it does feel like die cast in especially the ankle areas and a couple areas around the joints. So feels like a pretty solid figure. Try and get him into a more of a dynamic pose. Get his blaster in hand. The one thing which is cool as well, there is a little slot in the hand over here, and there is a little pegging kind of system there, and you can actually just peg this in, I believe. Right, so I don't even have the hand closed yet, but you can see how it's already holding everything in place. So I'm just going to close the fingers, and there you go. So there is Soundwave in his pew pew bang bang pose, as Emgo would say. And then what I'll also do is I'll take this arm and get him into his eject kind of position. There you go. So not only is he trying to blast you, he's getting ready to eject that cassette bot and go ham. So pretty cool figure. Cannot complain. And before I get too far away from Soundwave here, because he is in his bot mode already, one thing I will say is that this arm is a little kind of rinky-dinky, and I don't know if that's the same with the regular figure, or if that's an issue for the KO. But you know, there are figures already. There's even the Brave Commander Optimus Prime, which is from Transformers 1. I believe he's like a leader class size, and he can't even hold his, I think, Energon axe and cannon. So, and that's $120 official figure, and he still can't hold the weight of his gun. So that is more, you know, that's a common issue with some Transformers. So this whole thing that's going on, this rinky-dink hand, happens all the time. But yeah, like I said, while he's already transformed, I'm going to go ahead and just get him into a very vanilla pose so that he can match his G1 counterpart. And I don't believe I have his gun handy for the G1 figure, so let's just go ahead and remove all this stuff altogether. Okay. So taking a look at G1 Soundwave, I'm going to go ahead and just go through his very basic transformation. Oops. This should be relatively quick. Hold up, got a message from the cousin. Let's see what's good with him. Hold up. My cousin was supposed to stop by to pick up some stuff. I don't know if he's still coming. All right, let's get into this quick comparison of the G1 Soundwave versus the MP Soundwave, which is right beside it. So, you know, I think it's pretty clear. You could see how there is, you know, a very significant size difference for one. I think the other thing is just the overall silhouette. This dude is super blocky, right? He's just kind of very blocky and flat, very plain looking. And then when you compare him to this dude, you know, he has more of a more show accurate silhouette, not fully tune accurate, but still better than this guy. And even, you know, more depth in terms of the side with the backpack. I know he is missing his shoulder cannon, but I mean, that doesn't really change much. And then, of course, you know, with this dude, you know, look, his head literally just folds flat and goes back up and swivels around, but there's no other articulation there. He does also have the eject function with the cassette. I believe that these are also interchangeable. So let's see if we can put this guy in here. I think we can. Yeah, so the original G1 cassettes are still compatible with that, but I believe that there is some slight articulation differences and improvements made as well. Come on. But going back to the original Soundwave figure, you know, you don't have nearly as much range of motion, of course, because this is a figure that came out in the 80s or maybe even 70s when it originally came out in Japan. So this is all you get with the shoulder. You can't even lift the arm out. You get a little bit of movement in the shoulder for transformation purposes. You don't have any swivel around the bicep or in the elbow. Is just a 40 or a 90 degree versus the double jointed one. And then with the hands, you don't get any rotation whatsoever or fingers. You literally just get a socket, and then this whole fist just slides away for transformation. No ab crunch, obviously. No hip swivel. The buttons do not press down. This is just one piece of silver plastic. And then, just you can't even move his leg back or his knee back. You can certainly kick forward. And that's pretty much, oof, that's tight. There you go. That's how you can kick forward. John was curious if the G1 cassettes fit, and they certainly do. So because we did this comparison here with the OG Soundwave, I also may as well do the comparison for the OG cassette bots. So this is again the reissue. I believe this is the Buzzsaw, which transforms very basic. If you just fold down, these wings fold out, and then the head pulls up. Oops, a little bit too hard, but yeah, the head piece pulls out, and does the mouth open? The mouth opens. But yeah, so this is our Buzzsaw, G1 Buzzsaw, and you can swing the wings in and out, but you cannot bend them up and down. And yeah, the legs, pretty much that's all fixed as one piece as well. So that's the G1 cassette bot. And then this one, again, one of the legs is busted, so let's just go ahead and transform this guy, and then we'll compare them right after. So I believe we just flip this leg down, and these wings fold out. So, and then swing these out. And these feet will bend forward, then turn. Same here, bend and turn. Yeah, so there's a little tab piece that was on the inside there. You just press that in, and then that releases the head piece on the top. And then that neck will bend. This mouth doesn't look like it opens either. And then this thruster piece just bends down, and then this goes up. So this is already a lot more show accurate to what I remember from the G1 cartoon, which isn't much, but certainly watch. Once I compare these two side by side, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's get this in here. There we go. Yeah, it's too bad that this piece busted, but I'll work with it for the price that I paid. And this is the difference between the original G1 Buzzsaw over here, and then this is the Masterpiece Laserbeak over here. So definitely improvements, more articulation around the wings. You can actually bend the wings. You can not only slide them forward and back, but you can actually bend the wing, which you can't do with the original one. The head sculpt as well is a lot more show accurate. It looks a lot more like a vulture kind of look, where this one over here has a lot more of like that bird. I don't know what other type of head, like different type of head. Definitely this one's a lot more show accurate. This one too, the original has these little backpack sort of pieces, but it definitely don't have the thrusters that this guy has over here. And then even the feet, these look like kind of like skates. You know, they're just flat lines across the bottom, where these ones have the additional paint. And then you also have this spinning, or the ability to pivot the feet on this guy as well. And Ricky says a Soundwave superior. Sure is, dude, sure is. How you doing, Ricky? Definitely accurate with that. We are taking a look at a bunch of Transformers figures and stuff over here. So looks like another defect I found is that there's a black piece missing right over here. It is a very small piece of plastic, and it exposes the pin over here. But again, I'm not too bothered about it. I got this very cheap, so you know, who cares? All right, so we have gone through all of these so far. Haven't really gone through the Megatron gun, but I don't know why I should really spend or waste any more time on this. To be honest, it is just a miniature Megatron gun. I do also have the KO MP, I think it's MP44, is it, or MP36? I think maybe MP36, the Megatron. So maybe I might bust this guy out when I show that sometime in the future. But yes, Soundwave, all kinds of Soundwave stuff going on. Ricky's saying I'm doing good, hopping on the stream before I gotta close my shop at work. Yeah, man, do your thing, do your thing. It was too bad we didn't get to see each other at which con was that? Not Ancaster. The one with where what's her name? Jesus, Allison Court was when we got our signatures from Jubilee and Lunette the Clown. It's so funny because I saw you posted on Facebook, and then or Instagram rather, and then we found out that both of us were at the same event. Small world. This finger just popped out, but it's just on a peg, so I was able to just bump it back on. We're just trying to get this dude into a closed fist position. The other attachments, I guess we'll get to cover while we're at it, are this chest piece. I think it just snaps on. Yeah, so pretty much there's a clear plexi that just snaps onto the chest, and then you have that grid there. I think that there's like an insert that comes with it as well, with like schematics or something like that, which you could put in here. So Aurora, that's the one. Aurora Comic-Con. Yeah, man. I knew there was something. But yeah, man. Hopefully I'll catch you at another event in the future. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide this fist in, because I believe I think I just do that. Be a little bit further. It's not that way. It's the regular way. There you go. And then now I see that this is the slot system that I have over here, and this accessory over here does have the two corresponding pegs. Then you could snap that in, and then he has some type of dual cannon blaster. I don't remember what episode this might be from, but he has that. And then the last feature that he has is the Energon Cube, which I forgot as well, but it looks like, can I open this? Yeah, it looks like I could put something in here if I wanted to, but go ahead and close this, and I believe it just snaps. What does it snap on? Oh, never mind. You need to remove this plastic piece over here, because this lip is the same. I imagine it's the same. Yeah, it's going to be the exact same way that you connect it and port it into this chest cavity here. So you just go ahead and press this in, and then boom, you start making energon cubes. Yeah, very cool. What's Ricky saying here? But I'll be at the Ontario Collectors Con on the 23rd selling parts of my figure collection, maybe art. That'll be cool, man. I didn't plan to go, but I might check it out. It's been a while since I've been to a show, you know, other than that Aurora one, because I wanted to get my my signature from Allison Court there. All right, so Soundwave, everything's looking good. We are going to also take a look at some of the other figures here. So let's get the OG Soundwave and also the OG Buzzsaw out of the way. I'm gonna actually see if this fits into the cassette case as well, and I imagine it should, just because if it is corresponding to the chest cavity, then he should be able to fit in this. There you go. Another way to kind of prove that the cassettes are the same shape. You can see Cal again. He was announced as a guest. Oh, nice. Yo, Cal was such a cool dude at the Toying Around Toy Con. And thanks again to Kevin for putting that show on. That show was awesome. Definitely had a really fun time, you know, bringing retro games and having kids kind of play, you know, and other people just kind of killing time at my booth, you know, learning more about my streaming and stuff like that. CJ's kids came over quite a bit to play SNES, which is super fun. And then, yeah, obviously getting Cal's signature there was a really good treat. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. This is my X-Men 97 Wolverine action figure signed by the one and only Cal Dodd, voice of Wolverine. And he also signed on the very bottom there. And if you can't make that out, it says, "I go where I want to go." So shout out to Cal Dodd for signing this Grail piece in my collection. Right, so we are at the 1 hour mark and we haven't even cracked the other cassette bots and the yeah, pretty much all the other cassette bots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack up the Soundwave pieces that I don't think I'm going to be using for the near future. So let's go ahead and just get these guys, and let's actually put, I'll keep Laserbeak out. Reason being is I just want to compare him to Buzzsaw. But I'm also going to get Soundwave out of the way. Same with UG1. You're going to get out of the way. I'm actually going to transform him to save some space here. And the reason why I don't want to fully put this guy away just yet is I do want to just do a scale comparison once I transform the MP13. You can see what their alt modes look like side by side. All right, boom. He is good to go. Put this guy off to the side. Megatron gun. Blaster. And that. Close that up. Right, let's get this guy in the corner where hopefully he won't sustain any much more damage, but let's go ahead and yeah, let's get this guy out of the way first, because Buzzsaw should be a straight copy repaint of the laser beak, which came with the figure here. So you see that this says Frenzy and Buzzsaw. You have the Transformers Masterpiece mark. You see the alt modes. You see the robot and robot modes over here in bird mode. It says MP16 Destron Cassette, and then the Takara Tomy logo is off to the side here. Masterpiece is up on the top, same. You have the Frenzy, I'm going to call him Rumble, but they say Frenzy art, and then you have the Buzzsaw art on the other side. On the back, a whole bunch of Japanese. You could see the Soundwave compatibility. You see both of the cassette modes, both of the bot modes, and then everything that's inside. So you could see that he actually does come with a couple more things. You have the cases for the cassettes. You have the pile drivers, and then you have, I think these are the little blaster things, that go around his blasters and shoulder cannon kind of pieces. So let's go ahead and open this up. These are fully sealed. Looks like they weren't even cracked. But yeah, 2 blasters, and it looks like 2 like pile driver pieces that just kind of plug in there. I believe that allows it to be compatible with the alt mode of Soundwave. You have a card here with transformation instructions, so we'll keep these off to the side. And then we have the Buzzsaw cassette. We have the, I'm going to call him Rumble, even though it says Frenzy cassette. And let's actually take these out while we're here. What I won't take out though are these plastic cassette cases, because I don't feel the need to pull them out and compare. They do look identical. They both say Transformers on the bottom corner right here. Transformers, and then it's also on that bottom one there. So this, I'm just going to keep sealed because I don't see myself using those cassettes just yet. Go ahead and pull this up, and we'll go ahead and take these pile drivers out as well. Let's go ahead and get these out of the way with the comparison. First and foremost, we're going to do the Buzzsaw transformation. So we'll go ahead and transform this guy, which I believe we can just start maybe at the bottom with the legs. These just pull forward and then twist in. There's this little black piece in the center there. You can just press that button and that'll open up access to the head piece. And then you can now free this here. And then the wings, you just unfold here, tab that, untab this, let me get a grip here. Go. And these fold up and over. Bend these up. A little stiff. super tight. I'm actually scared to bend that any further. I could see why the previous owner may have snapped the legs on the other, and I'm also getting some paint chipping on the yellow side here. Yeah, I don't want to force it, but there's tons of tension here at this wing right now. The Toyhax MP3. Richard Reyes says, "Yeah, you can see Cal again. He was announced a couple days ago. That would be awesome. We'll see if he remembers me. Maybe get another Wolverine thing signed." And John says, "The MP3 decals has cassette case inserts with made-up bands. Oh, that's cool. See, that's what I like about third-party companies or aftermarket companies, where they just take some liberties and have some fun to improve the quality or playability of your toys. So very cool. So far, this looks, this is identical to our friend over here. You could see that these are the exact same bird figure in different paint. But again, this here, I don't know what it is, but if it's paint or if it's plastic or what, but this here is super tight, and I'm afraid of I don't want to force it, because if this is just on a pin, which it is, you could see like this already snapped, like this came broken when I got it. So I don't want to do the same thing and end up breaking the plastic around that pin joint. So kind of sad, but I'll deal with it. Here's Buzzsaw, and they are identical. So, and let's do one more comparison with the original Buzzsaw as well. There's a very basic transformation. There you go. We have G1 Buzzsaw, because he's precious, as Emgo would say. And then you have your Masterpiece, and let's be honest, there's no comparison, right? Both very cool in their own respects, but from a G1 accuracy perspective, articulation, all that other types of stuff, the Masterpiece Buzzsaw is superior. All right, now let's get into this Rumble figure here. And I haven't seen the instructions, but I'm just going to wing it. I'll wing it. Hopefully I don't break anything. Hopefully with Transformers, I just try and do a free transform to kind of take a look at where everything kind of naturally loosens and what have you. That foot goes here, and this foot goes there. And that's his knee, I think. It compresses even more. Yeah, it looks like all of this. There we go. We extend that, and I'm pretty sure that this exposed side would be the back of the leg. So I'm going to go ahead and twist that around. Twist this around. I'm going to imagine that these shoulders drop down. And his tiny hands are here. It's an adorable little transformation. I don't think I have many Transformers this small. And how do I get his head to flip out? Bang. And there is Rumble. Cute. Cute little guy. Look at that. That's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. But let's go ahead and get him his backpack pieces. Where is my... Let me grab some scissors. Hold on. All right. We'll have to step away momentarily. I do have my cousin stopping by to pick up a few things. I'll just run down and get those over to him. But yeah, so these are his tiny little blasters. And then they also are kind of like his little backpack wings. So what we can do is we can peg to this port right there. So that's one. That's two. And there you go. That's very show accurate from what I can remember. Which looks pretty cool. And then these also double as a blaster. So you could just take them off the back peg and then you turn this here, this back piece, and you flip it so that that goes in. And the smaller peg is exposed now over here. And then with that smaller peg plugs into this hand pocket. And there we go. Now he has a little blaster in hand, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna take a little break right now so I can run down and hook my cousin up with some stuff, and we will be right back. Yo, I'm back. Yeah, my cousin just got off work and he wanted some Monster, so I hooked him up with some Monster Energy that I had. Now we can get back to our regular scheduled program, which is getting into Soundwave and all these fun cassette bots that we have here. Hold on, check. Great look. All right, yes, so let me get some fresh blurbs and we'll get back into this. Hold up. Right, so yeah, I ended up switching out my gloves, or taking them off rather, before running down. So I'm gonna get these back on. These are just plain nitrile gloves that I prefer to use for reviews, just in case my hands are dry AF or my nail beds are weird, or I have long nails, or my monkey man arm hair can get distracting. But yeah, just kind of my own preference. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And let's take away the ticker. I think we took that and we're good. And we have some random bot that's chiming in on my Twitch chat. So what can you do? Anyways, we were, when we started the stream, we were talking about how Soundwave and this particular figure, let's see here, I got these a long time ago, and I never got a chance to opening them up. But because this set of third-party upscaled die-cast Rumble and Frenzy came out, I decided that, you know, it's time to bust these out. So went through this review piece. Let's go ahead and get this. Last thing we're talking about is blaster. We're going to go ahead and peg this into the back, and then I'm going to see if I can figure out his pile drivers. I think I can make it out simply by looking at looks like I just put him into a T-pose, something like this. And like this clicks in somehow. The shoulder, maybe. Like that. I think arms bend up like he's a muscle man. And then we can go ahead and put this here. Like that pegs in somehow. Keep arms open. Slide this down. It's definitely something that clips in here. Maybe it goes in from the bottom. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, man. maybe not. Let's take a look at the instructions then. What is the exact way to slot in his pile driver? This card is being attacked by the tape. All right, so pile drivers. So there we go. T-pose. Then so they need to click. Okay. Where? So, there we go. That's right. One. I'll go down. Number two. Get this. There is Rumble. With his pile drivers. Very cool. And the other thing you can do is apparently combine these rather with this accessory here. And it looks like, I believe this pegs in like so. There is a flat side. This flat side of the pile driver goes with this side of base. And now you have this double pile driver kind of piece, and then apparently it's supposed to be used with Soundwave. So we can actually put this on his back. Put this on Rumble's back. Take these off. That same peg system on the back over here. We take this, and then this all plugs in to the back. And there you go. You can have this big backpack, pile driver backpack. What else can we do here? For storage, you can actually take these pile drivers out and put these back on. And still use this piece here. Peg that in somehow. Hooks in here. Let's lie. Hold on. Where's that peg in? This picture says that if you peg into the back slot there, piece I need to move. That's weird. It says that it should work with the blasters on, but maybe it's with the blasters off. Certainly the other way of mounting worked out. Doesn't seem great. I don't even know what this would even be for, to be honest. Why would you put this on? I mean, it's something you could do. I don't know why, but anyways, let's get rid of that. And there's a couple more things that I'm learning here. It looks like we also store the guns in the pile driver. That same peg system that we were using to attach the pile drivers to his arms, we can go ahead and slide this down, I believe. There we go. So there we go. That's one. And again, same thing. This slot system, push everything down. Prepare to crumble before rumble. Cool little character, right? So there's that. And then yeah, the double pile driver where use this, and that pegs in right here. And then this is supposed to be able to clip onto Soundwave's arm somewhere. Let's figure out. So it clips onto his elbow joint or something. So that's boom. So if you want, you can have this arm cannon holder or forearm cannon type of hookup over here. That's an option. And then there's also that little tab for this piece here. These two tabs plug into these ports here. And there you go. Now this apparently plugs into his alt mode somehow. And there's also storage somewhere on this guy. I think once we get into alt mode, we can start exploring a couple more things, but I think that the only thing I missed was that Buzzsaw has a little laser in his forehead, which, again, the original design, he literally just has this Decepticon sticker covering it with nothing there. But this, like, there's a little... That's a tiny little camera in his forehead there, which is pretty cool. I never noticed that before. This little detail. But I think that's everything. Talked about the bot. We talked about the two blaster effects, the weapon storage, the pile driver backpack, the pile driver forearm cannon for Soundwave. We missed this one, so again, once we have it in the alt mode, we'll go ahead and change that. There also is some additional storage over here, and the feet of Laserbeak and Buzzsaw, these ribbed lines over here apparently tab into his shoulder and help with the grip. Is that true? Yeah, that works. Whoops. As they say that you don't want to swing too much motion, but yeah, you can certainly use these grooves on the shoulder with the feet, and that will hold there. Who's my favorite Soundwave cassette minion? It certainly has to be Ravage or Rumble. I don't think. I don't know. The bird ones never really appealed to me too much. I don't know why. And then I think Ravage was cool just because it was like a jaguar and it was like an animal, when like everyone else was like a vehicle or like some kind of robot. So I liked that aspect. And then I feel like Rumble had some of the best lines of just being like a badass with like comic relief and stuff like that. Yeah, I would say for sure. And then it looks like I could also grip the forearm, which is right here, like these little clear pieces of the forearm over here. That's also something that these apparently tab into. So let's try that. Put this into this. Now it's not like a really tight grip, really, but I mean, it does give it some stability when it comes down to holding the actual figure in place. So we'll go ahead, move that over, and keep this moving along. What about yourself? Who's your favorite cassette bot? Anyone tuning in now? Drop your favorite cassette bot, and we'll go talk about why, how, and why they are our faves. we'll keep going through and get Ravage covered. I think we'll probably skip Frenzy, just so we can keep Frenzy cassette mode, just to make that easier for an example later on. And also just because all the accessories are pretty much, the same. He has the double pile drivers, he has this back piece, the weapon storage going on over here. Yeah, let's take a look at Ravage. And I have no idea. This one I probably don't want to freestyle transform, so I'm going to go ahead and just take this guy out of his packaging. Looking at everything, pretty much the same. So let's go specifically to the Ravage art. So it looks like there's a little part I need to unpeg. In this cassette here, it looks like we turn it this way. And that way. Flip this over. That is good to go. Then I unflip the head. These two form the head. Kind of cool. The legs come out. One leg. Right, and then the tail flips open here. I turn the leg. Right. Still out. Legs. We pull this out. Bring that together. Okay. And then we fold these legs out. We turn it around. This tucks in. Body tucks into the back somehow. Okay. On the arms, we fold down. Rotate forward. It's definitely the coolest transformation so far out of all the cassette bots already. Feet flip up. Wrong way. We do the rear legs. So everything folds down. Back leg folds forward, feet go forward. And there is Ravage. There he is. Cool looking little kitty bot. I think that's, yeah, definitely one of the cooler transformations that we've done so far. And we'll move that off to the side, but otherwise, yeah, Frenzy is 100% identical. And because we are getting close to the last set of the stream, I wanted to keep some of these intact so that we still have the cassette mode compare. So let's go ahead and put that off to the side, and let's get to this fun, super fun set. And bear with me, just gotta check something real quick. Looks good. Favorite Transformers character? Oof, probably Soundwave. I think I have the most out of all Transformers in my collection. I think I have the most variations of Soundwave, either Soundwave or Bumblebee. Well, for the Bumblebee, I have pretty much every alt form throughout all the Bayverse, for sure. But I think otherwise, Soundwave. I mean, I have the G1 Soundwave, I have the Masterpiece Soundwave, I have the red Hasbro non-transforming Soundwave, I have the tablets Comic-Con like exclusive version. I have, I don't know, I have the Soundwave helmet, the cosplay like style one. And yeah, I think definitely again, music is probably like is a big influence, I think, in everybody's life, but like huge. Like I get really deep into music, different types of music and stuff like that. I would consider myself an audiophile too. I have a bunch of old records, 33s, 44s. You know, I love, you know, playing around with surround sound, and like I feel like the score of a movie or a show, soundtracks and all that other types of stuff, like audio, sound design, all that other types of stuff. I have such an appreciation for that type of stuff. So because this guy is like a communications expert and also like the sound dude, he's definitely like just super cool. But yeah. What about you? Did you mention who your favorite Transformer is rather? Let's see here. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm still looking for the Studio Series 86, not 86, the Bayverse, or Bumblebee movie Studio Series version. Just because, yeah, like I just want that figure. I was debating on getting the 3-0 one, but we'll see if you know, that's in the cards with my budget. But yeah, this is the real reason that kind of got everything started. I already had a lot of these figures, like all of these Masterpiece figures I've had at least since you know, last summer, I'm gonna say. Sorry, get this back. That's better. Yeah, I've had these figures since probably last summer, and I just hadn't had a chance to take them out. And this set was actually, this is a reissue set. I missed out on the first version of when they released this, and then they also have a Ravage, an upscaled Ravage, but this is the upscaled version of the Rumble and Frenzy, of course, as you can see on the photo. They call them Riot Alternative and Furor, so they still kind of played with the words. One starts with an R, the other one starts with an F, and then it says that they're high fidelity stereo cassettes with diecast. So really cool here. This is again Mastermind Creations, I believe, or Ocular Max. I think they may be the same company or same kind of name. And then on one side you have Frenzy, and on the other side you have Rumble, and then on the back side you can see kind of like, you know, step-by-step transformation for each of these guys. They look really great. Looks like, so mine has to be Optimus, Peter Cullen's voice is the voice that got me hooked to the franchise for sure. And not only that, I mean, like he's done Eeyore, he's done Monterey Jack. Like he's definitely the voice of like a lot of people's childhood, whether people know it or not. So you know, he's a great voice actor and also super cool. I didn't get his autograph, but I did. I do have a photo with him, and I'm holding my G1 Optimus truck. So it's kind of you know, one of those things. I did it at Fan Expo. I think must have been like 2018 or 2017 or something like that, where I knew that he was going to be there. So yeah, I wish I did pay for the extra to get his autograph and maybe got him to sign the back of the truck, just to kind of keep for myself. But if I get a chance to see Peter Cullen again, then I certainly will pay for that, and maybe I'll bring the original photo of me and him. But it's definitely a really great photo. You could see like the enthusiasm in my face when I met him for sure. Optimus probably the Transformer had the most variations of. I have a full shelf of them that could be the Prime Shrine. That's dope. That's really, really cool. I have a bunch of Optimus as well, like you know, from G1 to Beast Wars, or I guess Beast Wars doesn't really count, but like different variations of the Prime mold. I have, you know, the Bayverse versions of him, the G1 versions of him. I have the Target exclusive version of him. I have the Ryu version of him, and a couple more. I have a phone. I have the Nike Free. I have the Capticons, the New Era hats. So yeah, I have a bunch of those for sure. Cool, you met Peter too. Yep. And Fan Expo 2018 and 2022. Nice. Yeah. So maybe this summer, if he's going to be there, then I might splurge and go ahead and get that. Well, let's take a look in the box. As mentioned, you know, this is the main reason why we're streaming today, is because, you know, Soundwave and these guys have been out for a long time, and I've had them on ice, but these guys are brand new. They just came in. I was in the Philippines while on vacation with my wife when these came in, so very excited to see them, and very, very cool packaging on the inside. Like, it's the way that they printed on the inside here does make it look like a retro card back, because the original way that these were packaged in the past, they were like this with two different cassettes. So I think that's a really cool kind of callback and design for how they went about, you know, creating this package to make it look like that hanging like display. And let's go ahead and pull these out. There are two. One, and then there's some additional base plates here. They look like they're just kind of like smirking or smiling. And then the second one, and these are heavy, and I think that's for sure the die cast. That's getting that additional weight here. So we'll go ahead and snip these open. Two. Excuse me as I sip and toast to staying hydrated. All right. There is a warning label here as well. Warning: forcing the hammer to close when the power is off will cause damage. Kindly follow MMC's YouTube video manual. I didn't even know that these are battery operated, and I'm very that's pretty friggin' cool. Very excited to learn that today. But let's take a look at this. So, oh yeah. So this is the new pile driver, and you can see that there is a battery enclosure here. I'm assuming that it probably takes an LR44 or something similar, one of those flat type of batteries. So that is here, and And then just for a quick size comparison, take this out. That is the difference in the pile driver size. So pretty significant. I'm actually going to get Frenzy out of the way. Let's just take everything out so we can do have a proper look at everything here. Now there's also this display base, which is, again, I didn't know anything about this, and this is very exciting. I didn't know that these were that involved, but all right. First and foremost, popped out of the case. Oh. Body's kind of bent inside there, so it ended up popping the case out a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't quite close fully, but this is the cassette, and this is pretty cool for anyone that grew up in 70s, 80s, pretty much after 8-tracks and before CDs. We had cassette tapes. This is a full-sized cassette tape compared to the mini cassette. That's why I didn't transform this Frenzy. These two are pretty much in one-to-one real-life scale with what the mini cassette recorder or like a Walkman, like, you know, traditional cassette tape size were. So, you know, it's a really cool throwback. I haven't seen that technology in a really long time. This is why, the reason why people talk about mixtapes. Literally, people would record music on their tapes. I remember putting cassettes like this into my radio, and when a song came on the radio that you really liked, you'd run and hit the record button and make your own tapes and stuff like that. And yeah, it was definitely a different era with, you know, prior to all the new digital stuff that we have these days. But see what else we have before. And cool thing is that it actually comes in this tape cover, even like the design of the interior here with the die cast like silver piece and just kind of making it look like a masterpiece kind of like design. The Transformer style design of the text here, the character art, and all that type of stuff, even printing on the spine, which is pretty cool. And then on the back side as well, you know, just this little lip of text that you read. Purer. He's a bot that looks at the bigger picture and only wants to bring violence and mayhem everywhere he goes. Annihilation and war is the fuel that helps ignite his spark. Despite his diminutive stature, he'll be the first one into any battlefield with no fear. It's due to these actions and single-mindedness that his brother Riot is the only one that can truly understand him. It's kind of cool. And then this Ocular Max, there's like a little etched, that exact symbol is actually etched into the plastic of the case there, which is another cool detail too. But I'm not sure why this is not pegging in for the right way, but we'll get to that in a bit. This looks to be like his display base. I think his feet just kind of peg into these slots and pegs here. Nothing crazy about that. And then again, these are the new battery operated pile drivers that come with the set. And just from a size comparison, the original pile driver that comes with the Masterpiece, the mini cassette, is about 3/4 of an inch wide, about 2.5 inches tall, and this is over an inch wide and over 4 inches tall. So almost twice when it comes down to the height when you compare the two, which is kind of cool. Well, let's go ahead and take the cassette out. It's stuck in there. Wow. perfect fit. But so that's another cool kind of thing about this cassette design as well, is the base, this area, the bottom part of the cassette was wider on the original designs and stuff like that too, and it is true with this figure as well. Kind of cool that, you know, the overall proportions of the figure, even in this cassette mode, are, you know, very true to what an actual cassette functions like. See here, that's cool. So, and then this little insert with the cassette actually has his Masterpiece card. So very similar to the cards that came with this figure here. You can see the similarities between the two. And then the other thing with this figure, or this packaging piece, is it actually does have the instructions on how to get this dude fully transformed. So we may as well do that since we have him open. I'm going to go ahead and put this piece off to the side. Oh, let's also just quickly take a look at the hands, or head sculpts rather. These are the additional face plates for both of the figures, and they're identical. They're just identical molds, just different paint applications here. One blue and one in black. These off to the side. All right, let's go ahead and get a transformation going with this guy here. So first and foremost, it looks like we have turned the cassette upside down. So we turn it this way, and we pull the leg down. And same on this side. Do one leg at a time. So we go ahead and turn this back. Open up leg parts. Rotate that back. And put these up. Flip these knee and leg wings open. Pull the leg forward. Like so. That down. That says slide in cap assembly. How do I bring this down? That forward. That forward down and out. There we go. Bring this back. Knee. Open. Holds down. It goes up. up and around. Foot down. How do I open the foot here though? This piece folds up. That part folds down. And then we bunch this up. It's hard to get leverage. This guy, his joints are super tight. Ah, there we go. Put that foot slides in together. And then this foot piece up. Come on, you can do it. Big hinge. There we go. And then turn it around. All right. So that is one foot complete. But it doesn't fully wrap around the knee piece. Let's see if I'm missing. I missed something with the knee here. Oh yeah, there we go. So this knee piece comes together, create like a solid pattern. And then there's a little gap sliver on the side, and then that's where the sides of the calf slides in. Let's see how this, there we go. More like it. Now you can see how that leg is nice and flush, which is really cool. So try that again. Extend this, bend this. Open up these knee pieces, or calf pieces rather. And then turn that back. Turn this back. And see this knee piece? You gotta flip it open. Side two comes together, and then the knee needs to be slid forward and then tucked away behind that pattern. And then foot, bring the foot, you bend that down. Bring this toe up, bend this all the way up, get your toe. Take this heel part, bend it in, up, then in. There you go, and then you spin that around, and you got a foot. Something catching on this leg. Doesn't seem to want to go in flush. Let me just double check before I go too far. Seems to be like that back port. The plastic is slightly warped, but I mean, it's not taking away too much, so I don't want to waste too much time there. Now we have the bottom piece. We got to flip these hip skirt pieces down. 1, 2. Got to bring these pieces down. Oops. No idea where this gun came from. I'm just going to remove these from now because they are now loose. It looks like we turn the arm down. And then we turn this up. And this part folds up, and then there's these little tabs, and then I believe that clicks in. And then use this slider right here to slide out the fist. I think. There's a slider on the back as well, but it is tough to get out there. I need something to get some leverage. If I could use this toothpick. There we go, toothpick worked. And one arm, and we twist. And it looks like we do the same thing on this side. Bend that arm open, flip this part up on the bicep. We'll use that toothpick again to slide fists out. It is a pretty tight squeeze, especially on the first transformation. A lot of the joints are still very stiff. And then we'll turn this arm forward, like so. And now, looks like we take the top, fold the bottom piece down, this piece here, and then we also fold this piece down. And we bring the shoulders up and in now. And they lock. It says specifically on there that this tab inside, right there, should tab and lock in. 1, and let's do the second one. So I'm just using the force, like a pinching pressure here. Whoops. So that's locked now. Finally, this chest piece comes down. And then this chest piece comes down. And then we turn his head. We get his guns. We point the blaster up and fold the wing out. So, Then this blaster piece goes down. So it should look like this. Do it again on the other side. And similar to the original figure, these will should peg into the back. There's the port. There's one. There we go. One. Two. And that is Rumble in his alt or bot mode, rather, in a nutshell. Let's do a quick comparison before we go into the pile drivers. Get his weapons back out. The pile driver storage. 1, 2. Peg them back into his shoulder sockets. All right, so this is the official Masterpiece Rumble here, and he stands at about 3 inches without the cannons and 3 1/4 inches with. And then this is the much larger Ocular Max third-party version of Rumble here. Again, this guy's 3 inches, 3 1/4 rather, when you consider the top of the shoulder cannons. And then this guy is 5 1/4 inches without the blasters, about 5 3/4 inches with the blasters. So, you know, pretty significant size difference here when you compare the two. And I mean, thinking about like the G1 cartoon, like this, you know, I think that the scale is too small. I don't remember his cassette bots being this tiny, because there always was some type of like mass shifting where, you know, obviously Soundwave was a regular size cassette player, then he would turn into a big robot. Same with Megatron, you know, he'd be you know, a regular size robot, then he would be a handheld, you know, Walther P90 or whatever else it is. So when you compare these two, I think this is a much more accurate and maybe reasonable scale of when you actually did get, you know, the robot mode of the cassette bots. So this is definitely has a much better shelf presence, I think, when bringing these two to life. Now, the other thing, before I go into the pile drivers, is it did come with this base, and there are some pegs and slots, and then there's some sockets on the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and peg that in. 1, 2. I'm going to try and get him into some kind of dynamic pose if possible. Actually, I'll use this because I think it's more so for when I have the pile drivers on, something to kind of stabilize and balance the figure once you have some awkward weight. So when we compare the articulation, like the scale obviously is one thing, but let's go ahead. If we're looking at the Masterpiece, for example, you have pretty much just forward and back with the head, so you can head bang. Rock on, dude. There's no rotation on the head. You can move your shoulder up and down. There's no butterfly joint, but you do have that type of clearance. You have no bicep swivel. You have no wrist swivel. You have no articulated hand or fingers here. There's no ab crunch. There's no waist swivel. And the legs can go on, hold up that high up, that far back, and then it's on a ball joint, so you do have like that leg rotation, like I guess like, yeah, leg rotation piece. We already talked about the knees, and then the toes. There's no calf cut and boot cut, but due to its transformation, you can go up, can go slightly back, and there is a little bit of an ankle rocker because it's on a ball joint. Now, when we look at the upscaled version here, you can go look up and down, rock out, but it's on a ball joint, so you can spin around. You got like a head tilt. The shoulders, due to the transformation, you can bring this all the way up. You could bring that down and then spin the arm around. Now the shoulder blade or the shoulder fin is kind of obstructing the rotation, but you see what I got going on here. There is a bicep swivel. You also have a, slightly double jointed elbow. No wrist rotation, but you do have an articulated hand. Open that up to hold your blaster. It's all one piece though. Or is it two? Let's see. No, that's all one piece. Just all 4 fingers are together. Close that up. He does have like an ab crunch. Bends that far forward. Does not bend back. He does have waist articulation. It's like this hip skirt comes up, so you can kick that high. And he doesn't have any butt flaps, so the leg can move back freely. You have a thigh cut here. The knee can bend 90 degrees. And then the foot can bend forward, can go back, and can tilt side to side. And last but not least, again, the pile drivers. So let's see how we mount these pile drivers. It says that we need to turn the arms up. So 1, 2, we also need to put the fists in to their forearms. And then we need to rotate the arm like so and get it in this 90-degree orientation. Okay, and then file driver, let's see, just opens up, And then we slot this entire forearm into the top of the pile driver, like so. I think. Yep. That goes in, and then close this on top. And then that closes, cover up the arm. That is one pile driver installed. I'm gonna go ahead and take these off. They're getting in the way. Want to make sure I don't break them, especially the fin or that pointy part. One pile driver. Let's go ahead and do the other side, just so we can put it on the base for comparison. Slide this in there. There we go. Close this up. Close that. There. Got rumble. Ready for action. Now let's put them in the base. So I think that's pretty dope. Not gonna lie. The fact that, you know, you can have him on this mount. Just make sure that his foot is secure and clicked in. And lock in on this side, trying to figure that out here. The click and lock on one side. I get it on this side too. But yeah, pretty much there's your rumble. And then I believe that once I get the batteries installed over here, then the whole point of having this is that the pile drivers will move by themselves, and then you can kind of have him there and he's doing his like rumbling kind of action, or even just angled straight down. And you know, he's looking forward pretty well, like still looking forward, kind of hunched over. So it's a pretty cool display, and I'm really interested to get the pile driver gimmick going. So I'll probably go ahead and order some batteries on Amazon to kind of get that done. But let's get these guns back on now that I have that pile driver secure. Yeah. There he is with the shoulder cannons back on, and I think that looks pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Very happy with this. So here's the difference of the Masterpiece scale, and then this is the third-party Ocular Max, which is a lot more intimidating, really cool looking as well. And I think it scales much better with the Masterpiece than the actual Masterpiece figure. So this dude is certainly going to be on display with with Soundwave at some point. And then I'm not going to go through and do the same with the Frenzy figure because they are the exact same. So the only thing I want to compare is the size of the cassette, just from a scale perspective. So just like the previous figure, comes in this cassette case, and then this is in a full size cassette proportion, whereas this is in like the mini cassette proportion. So you can see that, you know, it is significantly different in size, but they are pretty much you know, one-to-one with what the actual technology was. This being the micro cassette that was in like tape recording devices and stuff like that, like just more voice recording devices where it was a lot more compact. And then this is in scale with an actual, you know, Walkman style cassette, you know, that cars used to have, that the you know, Sony Walkmans and stuff like that, like the tapes, the full size standard tape is what's sort of built off of and modeled kind of off of, which is pretty cool. You know, it even has these you know, circles on the inside that have these little grooves. So if your tape ever like spun out or got caught or whatever, you'd use a pencil and you'd use that to spin up and get the tape back onto the inside. And then even this bottom part over here, where like this, the chest and where the weapons and stuff are hiding, like this side was actually the fatter side of the cassette too. So there was always, you know, a specific way that this needed to be slotted into a cassette player, you know, when you flipped it from A side and B side. So I think it's just super clever that, you know, this company, Ocular Max, decided to use the proportions of the original cassette technology to upscale these Rumble and Frenzy figures. So really, really cool. Really happy that I have these. And this was the whole reason, again, for the review, to be honest. You know, like I had this Soundwave, you know, sitting on ice for a really long time, and I've been waiting to bust them out. And while I was in the Philippines a few weeks ago, or just even last week, I got a notification saying that these shipped. So these are a reissue. These came out a couple of years ago, sold out for like, I don't know, in the first couple of days, and then like the price just skyrocketed. And then so the second that I heard that they had a reissue, then I went ahead and straight like pre-ordered those right away. So really happy that I have these in my collection now. And like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and transform these cassettes because they are identical, literally the exact same as the figures that I just transformed. So I'm going to go ahead and save these because I'm not going to put them out just yet. I think I still need to find some shelf space. I know that Soundwave, for example, is going to take up some space beside my Optimus Prime, my Masterpiece Optimus Prime. So if he already has a dedicated space, I think that I'm probably going to put this Rumble with him as well. Just trying to gingerly get this cassette back into place, but this is like a super tight fit. I'm scared. I don't want to break anything, TBH. But so we'll keep that off to the side. The last thing that we haven't done yet is the transformation on the actual on the Soundwave himself, because we need to also do a comparison on the portions of the alt mode for this, and that's probably going to be the last thing that I do for this review. But also we have a note from Ricky: Ocular Max Rumble definitely looks intimidating with the pile drivers. Yeah, like look at this guy. Like this is like a sick pair of figures for sure. I'm really excited to have these. So let's go ahead and transform Soundwave. If I could find his instructions, maybe this. And I imagine he's a pretty simple transformation. I don't see this guy being too complicated, but who knows? let's see how this goes. All right, so it looks like he does have weapon storage, so this can tab into the back shoulder right there. Let's go ahead and tab this in, and that's where that cannon can go, but let's move that away for now and just stick with the bare figure just for transformation. We already did the swap out for this little cannon kind of thing in the front, but also I'm learning that there's storage on his butt flap somewhere right there. There's a peg in the butt, and you just take this, and if you want, boom, just hide that there. Why not? Megatron. Oh, it looks like Megatron does actually split up. I didn't realize it, but the I guess like the stock and scope and all these three pieces actually come off, which is pretty cool, but we'll save that for another time. Talking about ejecting the cassettes. That's easy. Transforming. All right, here we go. Get this guy into his cassette mode. So we'll take this, tuck away his arm, his arm. We'll do it on the other side as well. So just open this forearm, fold the arm in, close it. All right, arms pretty much done. And the back piece, we open the back. Like so, and then the head tucks away in here. Close that. This cannon piece just simply rotates and then folds down. And then we take this, like we showed before, peg this in to balance the back. And they actually, just noticing now, they do look like batteries, look like AA batteries, because they have these little nubs on the front and even just their general proportion. That's kind of cool. That's plugged in. Arms are straightened out. It looks like we open these arm flaps top. One, open this arm flap here. Go. And then we turn the shoulder in, or back rather, 90 degrees. Do it again on this side. Just turn that shoulder. That goes over the battery. Then we turn the entire figure around. And we pull this forward. We pull this forward. Okay, so that's forward. And then these legs, sides come up. Like so. And then we turn the entire thing back, but on its side, the knees at least. Hold the knees or the thighs in place, rotate this here. Then we fold this up. Alright, so then the legs fold up. I think he's doing the splits. Turn this back, turn this back, fold it in, okay, this needs to be there we go, flattened out like that. Do it on the other side too. Just turn this, flatten it like that. There's these tabs that peg into the foot, the toe rather. Oh, this is more complicated than I thought. Okay. And then we turn this up and down. It's supposed to slide into the thigh somehow. Oh, there we go. There is a little button on the side you need to hit to release that. Okay, so this then tabs together. So I'll do the same thing on this side. Again, you bend up, and then it's this button right there you have to press to slide down. Those tab in the middle there. Hear that click. And then now we turn over to the back side where we have these loose parts. And these fold down. Folds down. Come on. That twists in. Okay. Same thing on this side. Fold this pretty much in half. Here's so many things. Pegging and unpegging. So this folds in half, then twists up. Now let's just double check that everything is secure. Tabbed in. That looks good. Now I think I just need to work the hip skirt piece over here, and then we should be good. What's good, Matt? What are you saying? Just doing a random Sunday stream. All right, let's pull. Looks like this comes up. And this folds out. These two fold up. And then fold back down, and slide up. Is that it? And then I just got to make sure that these tab in. So there's this slot right there, and that peg right there. So the last thing is to get everything, that forearm connected there. And voila. This is Masterpiece Soundwave, fully transformed, finally. In comparison, this is G1 Soundwave for comparison. So overall, very similar proportions. This is not, you can't press that. These are all, they're not functioning buttons, but you know, there is some squishiness to them. Both of the eject functions work. This guy only holds 1 cassette, whereas this one holds 3. The cool thing is they share the exact same proportions for the mini cassettes. So Frenzy, for example, we could toss them in here. There's Frenzy in the G1 cassette player, and here's Frenzy in the Masterpiece. The exact same. Let's take a look at some other potential details. This recording LED not functioning, but does look more realistic on the Masterpiece, of course, than it does on the G1. The G1 simply has a sticker right there, record battery. Again, the functioning eject buttons. If we look on the sides, we also have, sorry, and it's coming out here, just a sec. So if you take a look at the sides, this has a functioning slider. This also has a functioning slider, but this Masterpiece also has a whole bunch of different input or false input nodes and stuff like that there. Top is much cleaner on the Masterpiece, and it's not as clean on because you see his face here. And I believe this 3.5mm jack works too. Let me just double check. Well, not that it works, but I believe that it is molded to scale. This one is just there as a port for the shoulder cannon on this guy here. So if you were to take some headphones and plug this in, obviously it's not going to work, but this is, you know, it's fake and it's loose. That's as far as it goes. And the opening is too wide. But let's try the Masterpiece. 3.5mm jack. And doesn't go in all the way, but you know, much better fit. It actually holds. So that's kind of cool. But it would be cool if it went all the way so that you knew that like you have your proper connection for the sound for the headphones. But still cool the fact that they designed the port at least in the right diameter as this 3.5mm jack. What else can we look at here? Let's take a look at the other side. So this has a moving scroll button. Also, looks like it does, but it's kind of stuck. Get the iCast volume rocker, and then more input output type of stuff. Now, this here is what this little cannon we had be used for that. So what we can do is we can actually plug this into the side, or what we'll do is because these are supposed to be like batteries. These pile drivers are supposed to be batteries, I believe. So we take these pile drivers, right? Then we use this little Canon adapter and then port it into this slot here. I believe this is supposed to be like a battery pack or tape player. And then you could have, you know, just kind of like a power brick hooked up to the side. So that's kind of a cool function as well. And then otherwise, the back, neither have the most attractive, you know, back here nor bottom section. But when you look at them from the front, they look pretty decent, right? Anyone who's had a little 80s mini cassette player, you know, from back in the day, like I think that, you know, these are pretty cool designs. So I'm gonna have both of these on display on the shelf, where all the other devices that I have a whole bunch, like pretty much a dedicated shelf for crossover Transformers, ones that are more like 80s, like Ghostbuster, CMNT, Top Gun. I have the 90s X-Men, Blackbird. I have the Jurassic Park crossover, but I have a specific shelf for a device. It's called Device Label. Before these came out as like Microchange and Diaclone, like the original, you know, the Transformers, like so him and Blaster and some other characters like that, like they were just Transformers. Later on, they started to release Music Label. So I have the Music Label Soundwave as well. He's a functioning MP3 player that works with a mini SD card, not a micro SD card, not a standard SD card, a mini SD card, which is now obsolete. So that was really hard to track down. The figure and the memory card was probably just as hard to track down to find that mini SD card. But I have that's functioning. There's also Device Label Rumble and Frenzy earphones. I don't have those, but they do look really cool. And I have a phone, a transformer that transforms into a phone, and then I have the Soundwave that transforms into a tablet. So I think that he will likely stay in his alt form, you know, the cassette form for now, because I need to make space. Right now I have only one shelf, which has my Optimus MP44 with one Iron Factory combiner set, the Bruticus, and then for whatever reason I have a random Hydra Stomper over there, so I want to get rid of that Hydra Stomper, put it into storage, and maybe I'll put Soundwave and at least Rumble, if not more, on that shelf, because I think that this is definitely a solid piece for the shelf. And one thing for sure is I do need to get the batteries for this, because it would be cool to actually get you know, the pile drivers functioning. And I believe, again, I need 33 or LR 44 batteries, I believe, is usually the standard for smaller motors like this. So really excited to get that out. But I think that's all. I mean, like, other than that, like, we did go over quite a few things. These are the additional face sculpts that the figures kind of came with, but there was quite a bit that we covered. Like, we went over unboxing this Masterpiece Soundwave and then doing the comparisons with the G1, and then we went into the cassettes and the G1 cassettes versus the Masterpiece cassettes, and then we went even further and we started to compare the Masterpiece cassettes against the third-party cassettes, like this one here. And, you know, so you can see that evolution from the vintage toys from the 70s and 80s all the way through to the Masterpiece collection, which was released in, I guess, in the 90s and early 2000s. And then finally the third-party Transformers, which now, you know, are pretty much the most modern Transformers. And third-party and KOs and even fourth-party, like some of those original designs, are even better than Hasbro and Takara sometimes. So definitely don't sleep on those. And then sometimes as well, good thing that Ricky pointed out earlier is that sometimes when the companies make a KO, they actually improve on the flaws that the original Masterpiece was missing. So whether that's creating, adding more die cast, whether it's um, what else, like getting more like fillers, like and that type of stuff, like gap fillers and stuff like that, or even reinforcing certain areas, paint jobs, other types of stuff. There are times when the KO will actually be better um, than the official figure, which is kind of crazy, but whatever. You take what you can get. So that is the stream for tonight. Trying to see what else is going on in the next little bit. For the most part, I'm pretty much still got toys to unbox, but I do want to start focusing and streaming more retro gaming. I did post this on my Instagram. I picked this up in the Philippines for 90 Canadian. This is the Anbernic 40XXH. Currently runs all 8-bit to 64-bit consoles. I haven't done much of the 64-bit stuff, but I certainly have seen a little bit of jitter, a little bit of stutter here and there. Otherwise, I've been playing Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance, which has been a lot of fun. Something really cool about this is that it does have an HDMI out. So I've been using this HDMI to hook up to my capture card. And also I've been using this 8-bit DO controller and pairing it to this. So pretty much like this is a full-on retro console, handheld, but then I could also, so quote unquote dock it, via the HDMI to my monitor, hook up this Bluetooth controller, and then that allows me to pretty much play retro games with a controller on my PC on stream. So that's been what I've been doing for fun since I got back from the Philippines. And yeah, you could expect more toys. You could expect more action figure streams in the near future, but I'm going to call it for now. Thank you so much for everyone that joined. Matt, Ricky, John, everyone else that came through on Instagram and on Twitch as well. But if you have any questions, do let me know. Hit me up on Insta, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.